Very much an investor with a broad global approach is Victor Chu of Hong Kong, and he's a speaker at the Asian Financial Forum 2011. Victor, thanks indeed for joining us. Now, we're talking about global investment, but does that really mean today looking at Asia and specifically China?
Not necessarily, but I think Asia and China is a major factor now in any global investment strategy. And I'm particularly keen to look at opportunity, acquire interest in Western companies on a minority basis, and then bring them back to Asia to facilitate the growth in a particular sector, or to provide particular service to help China or Asia to accelerate in a particular sector development.
What would you see as the most attractive investments ahead?
Right now, for example, if you look at the focus of China's new 5-year plan, which is focusing from a switch from a headline growth scenario to a more sustainable, quality, recurrent economic growth, that will point to conservation, environmental protection, and more services for the consumers. And we would like to, for example, invest in companies with those technologies and those products or services that will enable consumers in the rural area to consume. For example, mobile banking, mobile payment, internet shopping, fulfillment companies, TV, cable sales.
You're sometimes called a contrarian investor. For example, you looked at Northern Rock in the United Kingdom when no one else was interested. But what about today? Are you looking at the United States, in Europe?
I was part of the Virgin Consortium led by Richard Branson in a bid for Northern Rock. We were the last preferred bidder, but unfortunately or fortunately, the British government decided at the last minute to nationalize Northern Rock. So that, unfortunately, was never succeeded. But we did invest in the last year 4 UK companies on a minority basis, and then formed joint venture with them to expand into Asia, particularly in China. And that has proved to be extremely successful. Right now, Western companies are very attractive, both in terms of valuation and currency. So I think the best opportunity right now is to buy into Western companies with the right products and the proven services and bring them back to Asia.
Of course, you're also looking at Asia in the sense that you're looking at Japanese investments, I understand.
Yes, we are converting from contrarian to mainstream now. We have agreed to form a joint venture with All Nippon Airways of Japan to form the first low-cost carrier in Japan for the domestic consumers to begin with. And if it works, they will expand into regional travels. Because it's the first low-cost carrier, we believe it will be very successful, because Japanese domestic fares are amongst the most expensive in the world on a mileage basis. So this will be a catalyst in bringing more competition, more value to Japanese consumers.
Well, of course, you are from Hong Kong, so how would you view Hong Kong as a place for looking at all the investments that you see internationally?
It's fantastic. Being based in Hong Kong, we have the best flow of information worldwide. We are a very favorable tax domiciled. We have the rule of law, courtesy of the colonial legacy, and the language. So Hong Kong is really the crossroad between the West and the East. And also, for Chinese companies to invest internationally in any of the core sectors, that will create political sensitivity. But for Hong Kong companies, which is regulated by Hong Kong regulators, which are recognized to be amongst the best in the world, a lot of the comfort is instilled on the part of the foreign government. So when we, for example, bid for Northern Rock, we were very favorably treated by FSA, and even after we did not succeed in Northern Rock, we bought into another FSA regulated financial institution, and we got our approval within 2 weeks, which is extraordinary.
And does Hong Kong's role for the RMB particularly interest you?
Absolutely. I think that is the most significant development in the local capital market after we introduced the X shares program in the early 90s. which I played an instrumental part. This time around, with the internationalization of the RMB in progress, Hong Kong can lead the way to do things earlier than what mainland decided to adopt it. So I think the offshore RMB products right now is restricted to corporate bonds and government bonds in fairly short tenor. But I think it will be expanded into longer tenor private equity funds and also in the alternative investment space. It will be good for investor, it will be good for Hong Kong. And down the road, the mainland can look at Hong Kong's experience to decide whether they should accelerate the internationalization program. Last week, Shanghai also announced the QFLP program to allow qualified institutional investor from the international market to convert their foreign currency into RMB to invest in RMB-based private equity funds. That again is also a very interesting product. And we from Hong Kong will be a net beneficiary for that because, for example, my firm, a Hong Kong company, was the first foreign international investment firm granted a local license by Shanghai 18 months ago. And we now got the formal rules to go ahead. And there are more Hong Kong firms that's following us too.
Victor, at the Asian Financial Forum 2011, what's your impression of the forum?
Fantastic. I think it is, we asked the question, why haven't we done it 20 years ago? It's become now the benchmark conference for international investors looking at Asia investment. I think Hong Kong really cement its position as Asia's premier international financial center, partly because of this forum. And I would say to my friends, this is the Davos for Asia investments.